Welcome to the Houston Roundball Review TAKEOVER on the lunch break, powered by JM&E, and also, of course, on the BS3 network. I am Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If you don't, you can just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. We're going to have fun on the lunch break. Take over. It's what I do here on Thursdays from noon to roughly 1 o'clock Central Time. Thank you to my man, as always, AJ Jones, for allowing me to have this platform to spend some time with you and you spend time with me. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Musk, Fire TV, Twitch, of course, on Roku via the BS3 network. We're going to talk Coogs, Rockets. If you are a Houston Texans fan, give me your prediction for this Saturday's game on the road. Kickoff is 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Mr. Willie Gibson. What's going to happen in that game? Will the Texans surprise folks and keep it going in these playoffs? Or will this successful season end on Saturday? What do you think about that? Your thoughts on the Rockets regressing, coming off a 1-5 road trip. That one win was over the woeful, awful Detroit Pistons, my favorite team. The game that the Pistons probably should have won. Ime Udoka said they should have won that. Detroit should have won that game. Rockets stole it, but they were 1-5 on this 6-game road trip. They're now 19-21, 2 games under 500. They're going backwards. Having problems making 3-point shots. They're having problems defending the 3-point shot. What are your thoughts on that? Hit me up in these comments. Let me know your thoughts as we discuss hoops and more on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review TAKEOVER, powered by JM&E. And yes, reminder, I am Kris Gardner. If you want to advertise on this show, just email me at kgardner@thehrr.com. Right there on the screen, kgardner, GARDNER @THEHRR.com. The Houston Roundball Review been around since 1994. Yes, 30 years. 1994. Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. I got to go here, folks, in case, and not many folks do, not many folks keep up, follow, watch, support women's hoops, college hoops, especially here in H-Town. The Houston Cougars women's team made some history Wednesday night. Not in a good way. It's going to give you the score first, then provide some details. Wednesday night, UH women lost on the road to West Virginia. Final score was 80-39. 80-39. UH women's hoops 3 Big 12 road losses have been 72-38 at K-State, 87-58 at Baylor, and 80-39 at West Virginia. That's a 34-point loss, a 29-point loss, and a 41-point loss. Let's see, 41-29, that's 70-34, that's 104 total points, 3 games losses. So that's what is that, about a 34, almost 35 points margin of defeat in those 3 road games in Big 12 play, losing by 35 points to fall to 2-4 in conference play, 11-6 overall. But that's not the history part that I'm talking about. In the Cougs women's loss at West Virginia Wednesday night, Houston went scoreless in the first quarter. They trailed WVU 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. 17-0. 10 minutes, no points. One more time. 10 minutes, no points. 0 for 13 from the floor. 7 turnovers. They trailed at the end of the first quarter 17-0. 17-0. They trailed at halftime 35-8. Your thoughts on that if you're watching? 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. 17-0. Once again, UH women's hoops, 3 Big 12 road losses so far this season. 72-38 at Kansas State, 87-58 at Baylor, and 80-39 at West Virginia. Average margin of defeat in those road games is 35 points a game. You can say, hey, Coogs are a new team, new conference, Big 12, they step up. That's true. Women's hoops. Hey, that's factual, no doubt. And it's a problem apparently for the women's teams, the newcomers to the conference. Go back to the slide again. UH men are 2-2. Bounce back after losing 2 straight losses on the road by a combined 5 points. TCU and Iowa State. TCU lost on Saturday, January 13th, by 1, gave up a last-second layup. But they bounced back Wednesday night, thumping Texas Tech 77-54. Texas Tech was undefeated in conference play. Jamal Shead was sensational Wednesday night. Career high 29 points, 10 assists. He got rebounds. He did a little bit of everything. Coogs the men's team was rolling second half. Shot, I think, 63% in the second half. So, UH men's hoops, very much better than UH women's hoops. UH men are not losing by 35 points per game on the road in conference play. What's going on? Did anyone notice in the administration at Houston? Does AD know, Kris, does he know what's going on over there with women's basketball? Does President Couture know what's going on over there in women's basketball? Does Tillman Fertitta know what's going on in women's hoops? Average margin of defeat in conference play is 35 points per game. 35. How you go an entire quarter and not score? Not even a free throw. 10 minutes, 0 points. 0. So let's see. The Coogs play women's hoops. Busy day Saturday at Fertitta Center. The men play first against UCF. UCF's coming off another good win in conference play. They won in Austin Wednesday night. It's always good to see Longhorns lose anything. Anything. Football, basketball, men's basketball, track. Very rare in track. Anything. Baseball, whatever. Longhorns lose. UCF outscored the Horns 45-27 in the second half to beat the Horns in Austin 77-71. Setting up a matchup against UH men Saturday, 1 o'clock, ESPN Plus. Everyone knows who follows the Coogs knows UCF is also a former member of the American Athletic Conference. UCF has had success inside Fertitta Center, beating men's basketball. Should be a good one. Competitive. Should be a great crowd. Both teams are 2-2 in conference play. So someone is going to be 2-3 after Saturday's game between UCF and Houston Cougars men's basketball. The Fertitta Center doubleheader will extend later on that evening when UH women host Oklahoma at 6 o'clock. Cougs women's team, 2-4 over in conference play, 11-6 overall. Oklahoma's 4-1 in conference play, 10-6 overall. And I believe, who was it? Oklahoma lost their last non-conference game. They lost to Southern at home. I believe that was right. But since that game, played much better. 4-1 in conference play. So what will happen to women's team this Saturday evening when Houston squares off with Oklahoma? Kind of curious to that. I'll be there to watch that game. Yes, I know the Rockets are in town as well. The Rockets will host Utah Saturday evening. But since the Rockets will also host Boston Sunday evening, I'll be at UH all day Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll be at Toyota Center watching the Rockets and the Celtics and see if the Rockets defense can do a better job against Boston than it did days ago when they got routed by the Jays in the Garden. So what are your thoughts on what's going to happen this weekend? Rockets, Utah, Rockets, Boston. Will it be 2 more losses for the Rockets? Or will they split? Will they end up the weekend 19-23, 21-21, or 20-22? What say you here on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E? Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Musk, Fire TV, Twitch, and on Roku via the BS3 network. Hit me up in those comments. What are your thoughts? Again, will the Texans win this Saturday? They got a tough chore, but what do you think? Will C.J. Stroud's magical ride continue? Will Baltimore say, young fella, you're not ready yet? See you next season? What say you in that matchup? What say you? Are you surprised that Jerry Jones decided to bring back Mike McCarthy to have him flame out next season in the playoffs? Seeing the Cowgirls lose in the playoffs, getting mashed by Green Bay, warmed my heart. Just warmed my heart. Because I cannot stand the Cowgirls. I'm not really returning fan of the Washington NFL franchise because they finally have new ownership. And they finally seem to be going in the right direction after years of just trash ownership and incompetence. But it's always, always good when Dallas Cowgirls lose. Always. It's like it's up there with Longhorns. Hate both franchises. Both of them. Hate, yes. Well, hate's wrong. Despise both franchises. Dislike strongly both of them. But to the fans of the Cougars basketball team, men too specifically, Coach Kelvin Sampson said earlier this week, this is before Wednesday's win over Texas Tech. He was sharing some thoughts about how much he enjoys the competition in the Big 12, how much he enjoyed competing during the Cougs' recent 2-game losses on the road because of the fan environment, because of life in the Big 12, all those things that the fans clamored for, but seemed shocked when the Cougs lost on the road in the Big 12. So check out this clip from Coach Kelvin Sampson, and then I'll have another one where I ask him about how he deals with players who struggle. Both of these clips are before Houston's Wednesday win over Texas Tech, 77-54.
To win basketball games, you got to eliminate losing. You know, and we made some losing plays that exposed us in certain areas. And in this league, it's such a I heard, I'm repeating what somebody else said. Somebody said it was a gauntlet. It really is. But I enjoy it. I've had fun coaching these last two games. We didn't come out on the right end, but I said, you know what, we got to get better at this. We got to tighten down this. Proud of our guys for hanging in there and putting themselves in a position to win both games. But as a coach, I got to do a good job of helping us eliminate losing. Because all these teams and these environments we're going in, it's tough to win on the road in this league. Last year, if this was like what is our record anyway? 14-2. We probably what is our record? How many games have we played?
You played 16.
14. So 14-2. So let's say we were 16-0 and we haven't been exposed. Will that help get us better as we go? I don't know. There's, anything is an opinion, and opinions aren't facts. So you just kind of focus on what you can control. But I know we can get better, and I think playing in those kind of environments are good for our kids because that's what we are. This is basketball at the highest level. We wanted to be in this league. And I'm glad we are. I'm glad we're in the Big 12. I'm glad we're playing the best teams in the country, whether it's on the road or at home. It makes you better, man. I'm excited about it.
Comments from head coach Kelvin Sampson about being excited to be in the Big 12, enjoying the competition, enjoying the challenge of facing top teams game in, game out in Big 12 play. H-Town Big Dobbs referencing, if you are late to joining the show, welcome. No worries at all. This is your lunch break. I'm with you on your lunch break. Join me today on the Takeover. We're talking hoops. How does the ladies' Big 12 basketball team score 0 points in a quarter? That question references what the Houston Cougars women's team did Wednesday night in an 80-39 loss at West Virginia. The Cougs, first quarter, 0 points, 10 minutes, 13 shot attempts, missed all 13, plus 7 turnovers. Second quarter, they were on fire and scored 8 points in 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes, and then were scoreless the last 5 minutes and trailed 35-8 at halftime. 35-8. H-Town Big Dobbs. If you missed it, this tidbit, this note, make you shake your head. The 3 losses for the women's team. Road losses for UH women in Big 12 play. Look at these scores, Big Dobbs. Look at them. 72-38 at K-State. 87-58 at Baylor. And, of course, last night, Wednesday night, 80-39 at West Virginia. Margin of defeat, almost 35 points per game. 35 points per game. 17-zip at the end of the first quarter at West Virginia. 17-0. That's hard to do. On purpose, that's hard to do. Go scoreless. 13 misses. That's hard to do. On purpose, miss 13 shots. But that's what happened Wednesday night in Houston's loss at West Virginia, 80-39. H-Town, hope you're doing what I asked you to do. You said you're going to do. Reach out to the administration. Fans of women's basketball. Fans of the University of Houston. I have this platform, but I'm just one voice. Contact the administration. Reach out to them. Email them. Call them. Leave messages. Ask them what's going on over there at women's hoops. Or just flatly ask them what are their expectations for women's hoops. Because if they don't have high expectations, okay, Just keep on doing what you're doing. But if you do, then maybe you need to do something else. Make a change. But 20 minutes into this edition of the Houston Roundball Review TAKEOVER, I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. You're watching the TAKEOVER on Facebook, YouTube, Musk, Twitch, Fire TV, and of course, on Roku via the BS3 network. Reminder, if you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If you don't, you can go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com and watch us that way. Contrast that, Big Dobbs. Rice women's basketball started that 3-game road trip on the road. East Carolina, Wednesday. Education Day, so Kids Day. Larger crowd. Rice won. Balanced scoring, Rice won by a score of 80-67 to improve to 4-1 in the American. So their step up from Conference USA to the American, they're 4-1. They're 10-6 overall. Contrasted to the men, Rice Owls men, they're struggling. They're battling, being kind of snake bit. Lost in overtime to Charlotte on Tuesday, 81-79 in a whiteout game. Tough break for a large crowd because of the weather and everything. Had a lead, lost it, had a chance to tie the game, force double OT. Rice guard Travis Evie intentionally missed the last free throw attempt with like 2 seconds left. Bounced high off the rim. Ball bounced off. Loose ball hit the floor. Travis got it. Some Rice folks feel Travis was fouled. Rice said, no, nothing to see here. Game over. The men go to Philly, face the Temple Owls this Saturday, 1 o'clock on ESPN+. Oh, man, says, I think the ladies just didn't want to play. I couldn't believe it. Well, did you watch it? Because I was watching it before I left for the men's game. And I was like, I don't know. I believe it because I saw it. But they struggle to make shots. They really do. But the successful women's team in town, Rice Owls, continue their 3-game road trip in New Orleans on Saturday, 2 o'clock, ESPN+, before going to Tulsa on the 24th next Wednesday, to face the Golden Hurricane, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN+. Rice men that same night will host Florida Atlantic. Had so much preseason hype for FAU. Take off big screen for this one. So much preseason hype around FAU men's team. I think, top 10 polls, picked to win the conference ahead of Memphis, which Penny Hardaway, head coach, and his players noted, did not like, did not appreciate, used it as a chip, still use it as a chip on their shoulder. How these folks pick a newcomer to the conference to win the conference, and we're still here. We're the reigning tournament champs, conference tournament champs. Memphis is a better team. They're playing better. They're struggling a little bit defensively, but they're still finding ways to win. Unlike FAU, who's had problems being consistent offense, defense, game to game, and losing sometimes. But Rice Owls host FAU on Wednesday, January 24th, 7 o'clock on ESPN+. Get back to Big 12 scheduling, but a tidbit of information regarding the net. Look at the rankings for the Big 12 men's teams in the NCAA evaluation tool, or NET. Houston still number 1, BYU number 4. And since I'm not a coach or a player, I can look past this Saturday. But real quick, go to the schedule. Go to the schedule real quick. This Saturday, as I stated earlier, UH Coogs host UCF, 1 o'clock in town on Big 12 Now and ESPN+. BYU goes to Lubbock. Game 5 o'clock on ESPN2. BYU's 2-2 in Big 12. Texas Tech is 3-1 after their loss here in town to the Cougs last night. I say all that, go backwards now. Tuesday, the Battle of the Cougars. Houston at BYU, Tuesday. Top team in the net versus the 4th-ranked team in the net. Which Cougar team will prevail? It'll be a cat fight. I saw someone wrote about it and described it as a dog fight. Come on, man. Come on. Cougars versus Cougars. It's a cat fight. But the rest of the net rankings for Big 12 men's hoops. Iowa State 10, Kansas 11, Baylor 12, Oklahoma 26, Cincinnati 29, TCU 32, Texas Tech 39, Texas 66. Texas right now is out of the tournament. They're NIT bound. Yes, the Texas Longhorns, the mighty, mighty Texas Longhorns men's team, and be clear, men's team is staring at a berth in the NIT, not the NCAA. UCF is 67 in the net. K-State, 70 in the net. Oklahoma State, 140. And unless things turn around, this will probably be the last season, unless they can't afford it. The last season, head coach Mike Boynton will be in charge at Oklahoma State. West Virginia, 168. But that's really based on what they did non-conference when their team was not nearly complete, when they were without 3 of their best players. The net, men's hoops, net is divided into quadrants. I'm finally just putting this slide up for fans who are curious about it. What is Kris talking about every week about net? Men's hoops, quadrants. Quadrant 1, breakdown, is 1 to 30 for home games. Home wins. Neutral site, 1 to 50. Away, road games, 1 to 75. You win those, your opponent is one of those areas, it's a quad 1 victory. Quad 2, home, 31 to 75. Neutral, 51 to 100. Texas Tech, Wednesday night, was roughly 35 in the net after they lost to the Cougs, 39. So that's why it's a quad 2 for Houston, because Texas Tech was in that 31-75 range, and as a home game for Houston, that's why it's a quad 2 victory. Quad 3, home, 76 to 160. Neutral, 101 to 200. Away, 136 to 240. Quad 4, Cougs have 8 quad 4 victories. West Virginia's net is 168, but it changes as you win or lose. So the chance, if the Mountaineers continue winning, the Cougs win could become a quad 3. Neutral site, 201 to 362. Away, 241 to 362. Women. Well, real quick. Take this break. It's near the bottom of the hour. Got to play the clip to let everyone know what the BS3 network is all about. Because you're watching the Houston Roundball Review TAKEOVER, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, Fire TV, Musk, and of course, on Roku via the BS3 network. And this clip lasts about 90 seconds to help you get an idea of what BS3 network is all about. Be back shortly.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review TakeOver, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, Twitch, Musk, YouTube, Fire TV, and of course Roku via the BS3 Network. I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. If you have a Roku streaming device, just go download BS3 TV. If you don't, why don't you? If you don't, just go to bs3network.com or bs3tvlive.com. Talking Coogs hoops, Rice Owls hoops, Rockets. Today on the takeover, Rockets coming off a 109-94 road loss. Ended that 6-game road trip 1-5. Coach Udoka said the Rockets have regressed. Defense has regressed. The three-point shot making has regressed. The defense against the three has regressed. Got 2 games this weekend at home. First up, facing Utah, who's playing very good basketball. That game is Saturday. And then got Boston on Sunday. Not 2 teams really want to face when your defense is struggling. So we'll see if the Rockets are up for the challenge, if a day of rest from the trip, followed by a day of practice, will help them right the ship and get back to 500, because right now they are 19-21. Next clip, I'm gonna play a second clip from Coach Kelvin Sampson. This is my question to him. This is earlier this week in his weekly press conference before the Texas Tech game. I asked him about what he does when he has players who are struggling to make shots. Here's his answer. You have players who are struggling to make shots. Do you talk to them about confidence, keep them motivated, confident in their shooting, that they trust the process, what they do?
Yeah. No, that's actually a good question. You guys are all on your game today. Sometimes you guys bat about 220, and some days you're up there in Ted Williams territory at 400. Today, you guys are at it. You guys are 400 hitters today. I think that's a tricky situation, Kris. You got to be careful with that one, because whatever you're thinking, they're thinking that too. And sometimes you just got to leave them alone. Corey Davis went through it. Marcus Sasser went through it. Quentin Grimes went through it. And I didn't say a word to any of them, and you saw what happened later. All of our guys are capable of playing better than we are. The elephant in the room you're talking about is LJ, but LJ's a hard worker, man. He's a great kid, joy to coach. He's getting great looks. I mean, you guys see the games. I mean, he's getting great looks, and those are shots he's been knocking down all year. If anything, I want him to shoot more. keep shooting, man.
And Wednesday night, LJ Cryer made 2 threes. Last 2 games, he made a total of 2 threes. Out of, I think, he was 2 for 14 prior to Wednesday night's win over Texas Tech. Progress. All players go through slumps. It's part of basketball, part of life. Just keep shooting, take good shots. You'll be all right. And one thing Coach Sampson said last night after the game is LJ's defense was very good against Texas Tech. And that was important to Coach Sampson. He said to Coach Sampson, he said to LJ, you keep playing good defense, we'll take care of the rest. Don't worry about the offense. Coogs won 77-54 over Texas Tech, led by Jamal Shedd's career-high 29 points and 10 assists. Jamal made 12 buckets, 16 attempts. The 12 made field goals were the most he's made in a game at UH in his career. Previous high was 10 buckets, did it twice. Jamal has played better. He was sensational Wednesday night. So salute to him. He may not have another game like that his whole life. Who knows? But Wednesday night, Texas Tech's head coach Grant McCasland said of Jamal, he might be the best point guard in Big 12. At least he was Wednesday night. He was sensational. Coach McCasland said Jamal was not going to let Houston lose. He had that will to carry Houston to victory, and he did that in a big, big way. Women's hoops. Big 12 women's basketball schedule for this weekend. Kansas at K-State. What is that called? The Sunflower Battle? Something like that. I think that's right. Sunflower State Battle. KU's 24 in conference. Kansas State 6-0 undefeated. 17-1 overall. Game is 1 o'clock on Big 12 now on ESPN+. TCU Iowa State game is canceled. TCU this week announced that they were canceling 2 games, forfeiting 2 games. Wednesday's cancellation against K-State, plus the Saturday against Iowa State. TCU doesn't have enough healthy players. They were already without best player, center, Sedona Prince, out with a hand injury. In Saturday's loss here in town to Houston, their point guard, fifth-year senior Jaden Owens, in the first quarter, tore her ACL and meniscus. And then yesterday, they announced that another post player will miss the rest of the season following surgery on her ankle. So TCU does not have enough healthy players to compete. They are holding open tryouts on campus for current TCU students who had some high school hoops experience to walk on to the team to help them fill out the roster for the rest of this season. That's how injury depleted they are up in Fort Worth. Rex 32, how are you? LJ's rushed shot a little bit, according to H-Town Big Dobbs. I just don't get it. Longhorns head coach Rodney Terry made comments, and apparently in the congrats line after UCF's win in Austin Wednesday night over the Horns, Coach Terry, while you're shaking hands, made comments post-game to some of the UCF players who were doing the Horns down sign, described them as classless for doing it. Tell Coach Dawkins and let him deal with that. You don't need to make a comment on that in the press conference, especially after you lost by 6 at home to the supposed one of the inferior teams in a conference coming from the weak American Conference. You swear more about your team giving them 45 points in a half to UCF. Worry more about your team only scoring 5 points down the stretch at home to UCF. Worry about your team only scoring 27 points in a half against UCF. Instead of horns down signs saying they're classless. Every Longhorn opponent does that. Fans do it all over the place. The league hates it, frowns upon it. Shame, shame, shame. Don't do that. It's a sign of disrespect. If that's all a fan does, all a player does is that, please, next, move on. Speaking of, the Cougs Texas Tech game Wednesday night, I want to say there were a few hundred Red Raider fans in the building. They were loud, chanting Raider power. One Tech fan was to the left of the media sitting. He was loud, constantly loud. Got on some of my colleagues' nerves. I thought it was hilarious. Some of his cheers were late and didn't make any sense when a coup started rolling. And some of UH fans would point to the scoreboard and your scoreboard, and he had some weak reply. This is life in the Big 12. Fans gonna fan. It wasn't disrespectful. He didn't yell out any profanity. He took the ribbing from other UH fans when Jamal Shedd scored or Jamal dished out some assists for slam dunks. He took it good-naturedly. He stayed the entire game. That's the kind of fan you want. He was supporting his team. You know, he's right or die at Texas Tech. He was in a minority in a building full of Coug fans, but there were Red Raider fans there in the building. So I don't know if they got those tickets via the secondary market from Cougar season ticket holders or what have you, but life in the Big 12. Life. Brother Gibson, how you doing? I don't know all the details about Coach Oates and the Missouri player. He put his hand on him, the Missouri player got in the huddle, and so I don't know enough to comment on it. I heard that he did apologize to Mizzou head coach afterwards for what he did. You know, Coach Oates needs to worry about his team and that, as well over there at Alabama. See, Rex 32 excited about the Cougs game last night, Wednesday night. The atmosphere. Looking forward to the atmosphere on Saturday against UCF, a former member of the AAC, now also a member in the Big 12. Both teams are 2-2 in conference play. UCF has already beaten Kansas at home, beat the Horns in Austin, and the Cougs are 2-2 in Big 12. So somebody was beat 2-3 after Saturday's game. 1 o'clock start. Coug fans, Rex 32. You and your people, you and your buddies. We all tailgate. We all get there early. It's a Saturday. I'm not sure. I forget the weather. If it's going to be cold, but whatever. Start tailgating at basketball games here in H-Town on the weekend. Start that. Somebody needs to start that tradition. Get it going. This is life in the Big 12. This is what we wanted. Start it up. Tailgate. Celebrate. Celebrate being in the Big 12. Celebrate being a successful team in the Big 12. Unlike your female counterpart. But anyway, Brother Gibson, Rex, H-Town, reminder, the UH women's team. First quarter against West Virginia. First quarter, 0 points. We're outscored 17-0. 17-0. Missed all 13 shot attempts. Scoreless for an entire quarter. Ended up losing 80-39. Rex, I know you're more men's hoops supporter, but if you missed it, this tidbit should make you shake your head. UH women's hoops. 3 Big 12 road losses. Look at it, Willie Gibson. Look at it. Have been 72-38 at K-State, 87-58 at Baylor, and 80-39 at West Virginia. Look at that. 34-point loss, 29-point loss, 41-point loss. Look at those numbers. What say you about those numbers there? Rex 32, Willie Gibson. But yes, Rex with the comment, Coach Hughey going to end up on that same boat that other coach ended up in. Perhaps if the administration is noticing, if the administration is paying attention, if the administration gives a damn about women's basketball, those questions need to be answered, because they don't. And Coach Hughey's talking like a coach who believes he'll be back next season. We'll see. We shall see. And next season, with Arizona, Utah, Colorado joining, those 3 women's hoops programs make the Big 12 even better than it is now. Ugh. Ugh. So, anyway, women's basketball schedule, getting back to it. Touched on it. TCU had to cancel 2 games due to lack of healthy bodies. Longhorns at Oklahoma State. Both teams are 4-2 in Big 12 play. That game will be 1 o'clock on ESPNU. UCF, the last winless team in conference play, at Baylor. Baylor at home. Baylor has problems with teams with tall players. UCF, that should not be an issue. So Baylor, a game 2 o'clock on Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. West Virginia coming off the 41-point win over Houston at West Virginia. Should be a kind of neighborhood rivalry there. The Bearcats 1-4 in conference play. That should be 2 p.m. Texas Tech at BYU. Texas Tech 3-3 in conference. BYU 1-5. 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. And then wrapping it up, 6 o'clock here in H-Town, Oklahoma against Houston. We'll see if Houston bounces back after losing to one of the Big 12 regulars. They're not doing well against the healthy regular squads. Their win over TCU Saturday, won by 11. But again, TCU was without Sedona Prince, best player, one of the best bigs in women's hoops, out with a hand injury. TCU was without their point guard, who tore ACL in the first quarter. But the game kept going, so Houston didn't win that game. There you go there. Regarding Coach Hughey, Brother Gibson asked, what assurances does he have and how? That is the question. The questions. What's it going to take? I am one little voice in the wind. I need more people, more supporters, more people, more fans, more alums to reach out to the administration. I know women's basketball is not a moneymaker. I know it's not football. I know it's not men's basketball. But in other places across the country, women's hoops is becoming more popular. Is becoming more financially secure. So fans, UH fans, alums, supporters, start paying attention to what's going on with women's basketball and start asking questions. I have asked these questions for the last 4 years. I'm now ignored by some of the administrators when I ask the questions about women's hoops. So other folks chime in. Need other folks to question what's going on over there in women's basketball. Rex 32. This comment right here, Brother Gibson. Women's essentially have the same tools as men's as far as the development center. It comes down to coaching. I didn't say that. Rex 32 said that. I ask you to contact Chris Pesman, to contact the Houston administration. If y'all want to change, fans got to make change. Fans got to demand change. Because, again, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, those 4 teams coming into the Big 12 next year, maybe except for Arizona State, the other 3 are better than Houston women's basketball. Colorado, I think, is ranked 2nd in the country this year. 2nd and 3rd, top 5. Utah, top 10, top 15. In the country, Houston women's basketball, in the net, Rex, Willie Gibson. Look at that. Coogs ranked 96 in the net. Look at the bottom 4 teams in women's hoops, Big 12 rankings, are all newcomers. UCF 95, Houston 96, BYU 100, Bearcats 101. And Rex says she's 96. I think its lowest point this year maybe was 103, 104, something like that. But yes, 96. And the breakdown, women's basketball does not have quadrants per se. Contrast that to the men's real quick. Men have quadrants. Women's hoops does not have that yet. So it's just a grouping you see right here. But Texas, 2nd in the net. K-State, 8 in the net. Baylor, 11. WVU, 23. TCU, 36. In spite of the injuries, they're still 36. Iowa State, 41. Kansas, 47. Oklahoma State, 53. Oklahoma, who the Cougs face and host this Saturday, 57. Texas Tech, 62. And then the newcomers, UCF, 95. The Cougs, 96. The other Cougs, 100. And then the Bearcats, 101. Real quick. H-Town Hoops, HCU, 1-3. They lost at Northwestern State by 5. Host Lamar, Coach Alvin Brooks. Lamar Cardinals undefeated. Will be at Sharp Gym, 3 o'clock. AT women's team, 0-4 in conference play. Coming off a loss on the road at A&M Commerce by 10. They're hosting New Orleans tonight inside Sharp Gym at 6 o'clock. Game can be seen on ESPN+. Prairie View, men's team and women's team, had a game postponed this week on Monday due to the ice and the bad conditions on the hill up there in Prairie View area, Hempstead area. Game, as of this show, has not been rescheduled against Pine Bluff. This weekend, PV on the road at Jackson State and at Alcorn State. Saturday, J-State. Monday, Alcorn State. TSU, Rice touched on them. Rice men at Temple this Saturday before next Wednesday, hosting Florida Atlantic, trying to get their first win in conference play. Good luck. Rice women started their 3-game road trip with a win at ECU on Wednesday, 80-67, to improve to 4-1 in conference play. On the road in New Orleans on Saturday against Tulane, and then next week at Tulsa. Both those games can be seen on ESPN+. TSU men and women are both 2-2 in SWAC play. Tigers lost to Pine Bluff by 3, then blew out Mississippi Valley State on Monday by 32. This weekend at Alcorn, Saturday at 3 o'clock. And then on Monday, J-State coach Willie Gibson, J-State at 7:30. TSU women had a great win over Arkansas Pine Bluff on Saturday. 85 points, I believe, was a season high against NCAA competition. Great win. Pine Bluff was one of the best teams in the SWAC women's hoops. Then followed up losing to the worst team in the SWAC in Mississippi Valley State. TSU, I think, led by double figures at halftime, and they lost by a point to Valley, 70-69. Follow up a great win with a bad loss. That'll do it here. Thank you, everybody. Willie Gibson, Mr. Buckeye. Thank you for watching on Facebook. Rex, thank you for watching on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel. A-Time Big Dobbs, thank you for your questions and messages. Seriously, if you care about UH athletics, start reaching out to the administration and ask them what's going on in baseball. What's going on? What are your expectations in women's hoops? They talk about we want to compete for championships in the Big 12. That's what the administration has said. Start holding them accountable for those words. If the teams are not doing their part, then the administration needs to hold those coaches accountable so they do their part. Getting shut out of an entire quarter is not doing your part. Willie Gibson, Coach Hughey said the standard for Houston women's basketball is the NCAA tournament. Those were his words. Rex, you saw it. Everyone watching the show today saw it. The Coogs are ranked 96 in the net. That's not getting to the NCAA tournament. That would be 10 straight years of no trip to the NCAA tournament under this regime. Chris Pesman, President of Tour, Timma Fertitta, Dwana Chiser, the Squaw, Senior Women's Administrator. 10 years. Rex, those 10 years. Kelvin Sampson being in charge on the men's side. Thank you very much, as always, to everyone watching the Houston Roundball Review Takeover on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Fire TV, Musk, and Roku via the BS3 network. I'm wrapping it up. I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review since 1994. The Houston Roundball Review, local name, global perspective. Buy some merch. Get you a mug, get you a cap, get you a hoodie. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. Everyone, until next time, take care.